Chapter 1: The Clay That Binds. The morning light filtered through the wide front windows of Williams' Clayworks, catching dust motes as they drifted lazily over shelves of bowls, mugs, vases, and unfinished pieces waiting for their turn in the kiln. The shop smelled faintly of wet clay and cinnamon. Regina had insisted on running a cinnamon hazelnut candle all winter, claiming it made customers linger longer. Whether the candle truly helped or not, Regina liked it, and that was enough. At 26, Regina Williams moved through the studio with the ease of someone who had grown up here, because she had. She could wedge clay while half asleep, knew her way around every eccentric quirk of the aging kilns, and could identify any glaze her father mixed by smell alone. Her parents often joked that she'd inhaled too much clay dust as a child and it had permanently rewired her brain in favor of pottery. She liked that joke. Felt true. This morning, Regina set a lump of stoneware on her wheel, rolling her shoulders to ease the stiffness that came from throwing pieces late into the night. She adjusted her apron, turned on the wheel, and pressed her fingers gently into the clay as it spun beneath her touch. The world quieted. The wheel always did that for her, made the rest of life feel manageable. "Morning, sweetheart," her father called from the back room, where he was grumbling at invoices as though they'd personally offended him. "Morning," Regina replied without looking up. "We're out of the light blue glaze again." "I know," he huffed. "I'll mix more before lunch." Her mother appeared next, brushing her hands on her jeans. "Regina, honey, don't forget we have the Connors coming in at 10. Custom baby shower set." Regina groaned softly. "Right? The couple who couldn't decide between woodland animals or outer space. That's them," her mother said with a sympathetic smile. "Maybe they settled on something." "They won't have," Regina muttered. Her mother didn't argue. By 10 o'clock sharp, Regina had wiped down the consultation table, set out sample tiles, and prepared her most patient smile, the one she reserved for indecisive customers and the relatives who assumed pottery was her cute little hobby. The bell above the door jingled, and the Connors swept in, full of cheerful chaos. An hour later, Regina was certain they had not, in fact, settled on anything. "We love the little fox design," Mrs. Connor said, tapping an image on Regina's tablet. "But the stars would be adorable too, and maybe the color palette could be sage or maybe dusty rose. What do you think?" Regina smiled tightly. She thought they needed therapy, but she kept that to herself. "We can make either design work beautifully, or combine elements of both." "Perfect," Mr. Connor exclaimed. "Let's do both, and maybe add the baby's initials on the bottom of each piece?" "Absolutely," Regina said. "I'll send sketches by tomorrow evening." When the couple finally left, Regina sagged against the counter. "You survived?" her father asked, emerging with a cup of coffee. "Barely." Her mother passed by with a tray of bisque-fired mugs. "Just wait until they come in for final approvals." Regina groaned again. "Please don't joke about that." Her mother only winked. The rest of the day passed in a blur of sanding, glazing, answering calls, and helping walk-in customers. By late afternoon, Regina was elbow-deep in a tricky handle attachment when her mother leaned around the doorframe. "Dinner in 15, she announced. "And don't argue, you skipped lunch." "I was working." "You were hiding," her mother said lightly. Regina shot her a look. "From what?" "Life." Her mother shrugged. "People. Fun. I have fun. Working doesn't count." "It does if you enjoy it." Her mother gave her that knowing, parental expression, the one that said she understood more than Regina wished she did. Regina wiped her hands on a towel and followed her parents into the small kitchen tucked behind the main studio. Dinner was pasta, thrown together from what they had on hand. Her father poured sauce into a pot while humming off-key. Her mother set out plates. Regina chopped basil with more force than strictly necessary. "So," her father began, far too casually, "any plans this weekend?" Regina stiffened. "Working on the wedding set for the Dawson order, remember? You could take an afternoon off," her mother suggested hopefully. "For what?" Her parents exchanged a glance, one of those silent ones that carried more meaning than their words. It irritated Regina more than it should have. "You're young," her father started gently. "You should go out more. See people." "I see plenty of people. Customers don't count," her mother added. "Why does everyone keep saying that?" Regina demanded. "Because it's true." Her father sat beside her. "We love that you love the business. We do. But you haven't gone out with friends in weeks." "Months," her mother corrected. Regina blinked. "Excuse me?" Her mother's smile was soft. "Sweetheart, we're just worried you're using the studio as an escape." "I'm not escaping anything." Another glance between her parents. Regina's irritation twisted into something more defensive. "This isn't about Jason, is it?" Her parents didn't speak, which was somehow worse than an answer. "Oh my God," Regina muttered, pushing away from the table. "That was years ago." Her father's voice was soothing. "We know, but you haven't really dated since." "I've been busy." Her father raised a brow. "Too busy for one date?" Regina crossed her arms. "I don't need a date. I'm fine." "You're wonderful," her mother said. "We just want you to have a life outside the shop. You deserve more than clay and customers." Regina sank back down, eyes on her plate. She hated how the words lodged under her ribs, not because they were wrong, but because some part of her feared they were right. The breakup with Jason hadn't been dramatic. There had been no screaming, no betrayal, no harsh words, just two people on different paths. Regina stayed on the East Coast to help run her parents' business. Jason took a job clear across the country, chasing the kind of opportunity Regina would never fault him for accepting. They'd hugged in the driveway, promised to keep in touch, exchanged a few messages over the next year, and then life, quietly, inevitably, moved on. Regina had thrown herself into pottery. First, it was a distraction. Then it became a habit. Then a comfort. And eventually, it became everything. Maybe too much of everything. "I'll think about it," Regina said finally. Her parents didn't push further. They didn't need to. After dinner, Regina returned to the studio, needing the grounding calm of the wheel. As she centered another lump of clay, she felt the familiar pull, the way shaping something tangible steadied her. The wheel hummed, her hands moved, and the clay obeyed. Here, she didn't have to answer questions she didn't want to ask herself. By the time she shut down the studio, darkness had settled outside, and the quiet street felt like a held breath. Regina locked the front door, glanced back at the shelves of pieces drying overnight, and exhaled slowly. Tomorrow would be the same as today. Busy, comforting, predictable. And for tonight, that was enough. Chapter 2, glazed and confused. The Friday evening art walk wrapped around downtown like a lazy river of chatter, music, and too many people holding coffee cups they didn't need. Regina stood at the edge of it all, hands shoved in her jacket pockets, questioning every life choice that had brought her here, including answering Mia's text earlier. "You're coming to the art walk. No excuses. Wear something cute." Regina had stared at the message, muttered something unprintable, and gone anyway, mostly because she was out of excuses and Mia could detect a lie from 3 zip codes away. Now, as she maneuvered past a booth selling abstract paintings of wobbly-looking cats, she scanned the crowd for her friend. "There you are." Mia materialized from behind a jewelry stand, waving a pair of dangling earrings in triumph. "Tell me these aren't perfect for you." Regina eyed the earrings, ceramic drops in teal and gold. "They're beautiful, but I make pottery. Buying these feels like betrayal." "It's not betrayal," Mia countered. "It's supporting another artist. Plus, imagine how cute they'd look with that cream sweater you always pretend you didn't buy on sale." Regina sighed. "Fine, they're cute. Great. Because I already paid for them." Mia dropped the earrings into Regina's hand. "You can't keep doing that." "I absolutely can. It's my hobby. Some people collect stamps. I collect moments when you're forced to accept nice things." Regina didn't bother arguing. Instead, she slipped the earrings into her pocket and followed Mia through the crowd. The art walk buzzed with its usual mix of locals, tourists, and the kind of people who looked like they only existed in curated social media feeds. Perfect hair, layered scarves, laughter that sounded rehearsed. Regina felt both invisible and exposed, which was impressive. Mia nudged her. "Don't hunch. You're doing the turtle retreat again." "I am not." "You are," Mia insisted. "Your shoulders are trying to date your ears." Regina rolled her shoulders back. Satisfied? Moderately. They stopped at a pottery booth, and Regina automatically leaned in to examine the craftsmanship, a well-thrown collection of pitchers and hand-carved plates. "Is this what you want your life to be?" Mia asked suddenly. Regina blinked. "What, pottery?" "No, I know you love pottery. I mean," Mia hesitated, her voice softening. "You work, go home, sleep, repeat. When's the last time you went on a date?" Regina groaned. "Oh no, not you too. Your parents talked to you, didn't they?" Mia guessed. "Ambushed me at dinner." "Good for them." Regina glared. "Whose side are you on?" "Yours," Mia said. "Which is why I want you to live. You're 26, not 60. I like my routine. Routines are fine. Isolation isn't." Regina opened her mouth to argue, but fate, or cosmic mischief, interrupted. Because at that exact moment, while she turned to step away from Mia, she collided with someone behind her. Hard enough that she stumbled. A hand shot out to steady her. "Whoa. Sorry, are you okay?" Regina froze. She knew that voice. She hadn't heard it in years, but she knew. She looked up. Jason Miller stood in front of her. Hair slightly longer than she remembered. Jaw a little sharper. Eyes the same warm brown that had once undone her every time he looked at her like she was sunlight. "Jason." Regina breathed. His face shifted from startled to stunned to something like disbelief softened by nostalgia. "Regina Williams." "Wow. Hi." Mia mouthed "Oh my God" behind Regina, then took one giant step backward, pretending to examine a display of ceramic frogs like her life depended on it. Regina swallowed, words catching in her throat. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Same," Jason said, smiling a little. "I got into town 2 days ago. I'm doing some consulting for an architecture firm nearby for a few months." "Months." The word echoed in her chest. That's great," she managed. "You look good," Jason added, then winced slightly, as if he hadn't meant to say it out loud. Regina felt heat crawl up her neck. Thanks. You too. They stood there, a bubble of awkward familiarity forming between them while the noise of the art walk swirled around like nothing extraordinary was happening. Mia, still pretending extreme interest in the ceramic frog family, shot Regina a look that said, "Do not blow this." Jason rubbed the back of his neck. I saw your parents yesterday." Regina blinked. "My parents?" "Yeah. I walked by the shop. Your mom practically dragged me inside." He chuckled. "She gave me a tour even though I've been there a million times. I think she was surprised to see me." Surprised was probably the polite version of what her mother had actually been. "Well," Regina said, shifting her weight. "She means well." "They both do," Jason agreed. "Your dad asked me if I was back in town permanently." "Oh God," Regina groaned. Jason laughed. "I told him I wasn't sure yet." Regina's heart snagged on the word yet. The silence that followed was thick, heavy with things neither of them knew how to bring up. "So," Jason tried again. "Are you still doing pottery full-time?" "Yeah. I'm helping run the business now. We've expanded a lot since college." He smiled soft, proud, familiar. "I always knew you'd make something amazing out of it." Regina glanced down. "Thanks." Another beat passed before Jason shifted slightly closer. "Listen, I'd really like to catch up properly. Maybe grab coffee or something, if you want. No pressure." Her pulse thudded. She opened her mouth, panic prickling at the edges. Not because she didn't want to, but because she wanted to too much. But Mia swooped in like a caffeinated guardian angel. "She wants to," Mia declared. "She absolutely wants to." Regina's eyes widened. "Mia, shoo," Mia stage whispered. "You do." Jason laughed, shaking his head. "Still a force of nature." "Always," Mia confirmed proudly. Regina inhaled slowly. "Coffee sounds nice." "Yeah?" Jason asked, eyes warming. "Yeah." "Great." He took out his phone. "Can I get your number again? I think I lost it after I switched phones a while back." Regina hesitated only a heartbeat before giving it. He typed it in, then sent a quick test message. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. "Cool," he said, slipping his phone away. "I'll text you? Maybe tomorrow?" "Okay." Jason smiled. An honest, open one that stirred memories she'd boxed up and buried years ago. "It's really good seeing you, Regina." "You too," she said softly. He walked away then, disappearing into the crowd, but the space he left behind felt different. Stirred up, unsettled, humming with possibility. Mia latched onto Regina's arm immediately. "Regina, Regina, Regina, what was that?" "I don't know," Regina whispered. "You do know," Mia insisted. "That was fate delivering your ex-boyfriend right into your path like a romantic comedy." Regina pressed a hand to her forehead. "This is bad." "This is amazing," Mia corrected. "He asked you out." "It's not a date. It's absolutely a date. It's coffee." "So, a small date," Regina groaned. "I can't believe this is happening." Mia grinned. "Oh, sweetheart, this is only the beginning." Regina looked in the direction Jason had gone, her heartbeat still not entirely under control. For the first time in a long time, tomorrow didn't feel predictable. It felt like something else entirely. Chapter 3 fired up. Saturday morning arrived with the soft metallic tapping of rain against Regina Williams' bedroom window. She blinked at the ceiling, unsure whether she was waking from a dream or a memory. Jason's voice still echoed in her mind. The warm cadence, the way he'd said her name like it belonged specifically to him. And then there was the text. She sat up, reaching for her phone on the nightstand. One new message. "Good morning. Hope today treats you well. Wanna grab coffee later?" Regina stared at it. The butterflies in her stomach were less butterflies and more caffeinated birds ricocheting wildly. She typed a reply 3 times and deleted it 3 times before settling on. "Coffee sounds good. What time?" Before she could spiral any further, her phone buzzed. "I'm flexible. You pick." Regina exhaled. It was happening. Again. She pushed herself out of bed, determined not to overthink what she would wear. 10 minutes later, she was in front of her closet, ruthlessly breaking that promise to herself. Her mother knocked lightly on her door. "You awake?" "Barely." Her mother cracked the door open, eyes bright. "You look like someone deciding whether to flee the country." "I'm just meeting a friend for coffee," Regina said, tone strained. Her mother smiled knowingly. "Aha. And would this friend have a familiar face and a name starting with J?" Regina gaped. "Did Dad tell you?" Her mother raised a brow. "Honey, the moment Jason walked into the shop yesterday, your father sent me 15 texts." Regina groaned. "I hate everything." "No you don't," her mother said, stepping inside to straighten one of Regina's hung-up sweaters. "You're nervous. That means you care. That's the problem." "Honey," her mother said gently, "not every risk ends with heartbreak. It ended with distance. It ended with both of you doing what you needed at the time. That's different." Regina didn't respond. Her mother squeezed her shoulder and slipped out. By noon, the rain had eased into a mist, and Regina stood outside Harbor Brew, the cafe that doubled as the town's favorite gossip hub. She'd chosen a soft green sweater, neutral, safe, not trying too hard. She hoped. Jason arrived right on time, umbrella tucked under his arm, hair slightly damp. When he smiled at her, that ridiculous flutter returned to her chest. "Hey," he said. "Hey." Inside, they ordered coffees, hers a hazelnut latte, his a plain black coffee that somehow still matched him perfectly, and found a small table near the window. For a moment, neither spoke, the silence comfortable but charged. Finally, Jason leaned back, studying her with a look halfway between fond and wistful. "It's still kind of surreal that we ran into each other." "Tell me about it," Regina said. "I think Mia is still screaming internally." "I'm not surprised." Jason laughed lightly. "She always had a volume." Regina snorted. "That's one way to describe her." "So," Jason said, warming his hands on his mug, "how's life at the shop? Your mom told me you've taken more of a leadership role." Regina brightened. "Talking about pottery was easy. Safe. Yeah. We expanded into more custom work over the last 2 years. I handle most of the consultations now." "I'm not surprised," Jason said. "You were always the best communicator in group projects." "Please don't remind me of group projects," Regina groaned. "I still have nightmares." Jason chuckled. "You carried us through half of college." "You helped," Regina said, nudging his foot lightly beneath the table before she could stop herself. The contact startled her. And him. Their eyes met, and a flicker passed between them. Something familiar, unexpectedly intimate. Regina looked away quickly, sipping her latte to steady herself. Jason cleared his throat. "Actually, the reason I'm in town is also connected to the shop." Regina blinked. "What do you mean?" "I'm consulting for coastal design and architecture. They're bidding on the new Community Arts Center project. The firm wants to feature local artisans, and your parents immediately came to mind." Regina's heart skipped. "You want to collaborate with us?" "Only if you're open to it," Jason said. "It would involve designing some custom pieces, tiles perhaps, or large wall panels. We'd need initial concepts within a few weeks." Regina swallowed. "That sounds incredible." "I was hoping you'd say that," Jason murmured. She looked at him again. Really looked, noticing the way he watched her with quiet admiration. Like she hadn't changed at all, and yet somehow had. Her voice softened. "Jason, is this why you came by the shop yesterday?" He shook his head. "Honestly? No. I was just walking by and saw your mom through the window. I wasn't even sure she'd remember me." "She remembered," Regina said. "My parents remember anyone who's ever eaten at our dinner table." Jason chuckled. "I do miss your mom's lasagna." Regina raised a brow. "Is that your way of asking for another invitation?" "No," Jason said, grinning. "But I'm definitely not turning one down if it's offered." Regina laughed. Felt good. Familiar. For a while, they talked about everything and nothing. Old professors, life on opposite sides of the country, terrible first apartments, kitchen disasters, favorite glazes. Jason told her about his work designing eco-friendly community spaces. Regina told him about the kiln malfunction that nearly set the studio on fire last year. He winced. "Were you hurt?" "No, just terrified. And covered in soot. I looked like a raccoon for a week." Jason's expression softened. "I'm glad you're okay." There it was again, that warmth, that concern. It tugged at something in her she had tried hard to forget. Then Jason hesitated. "Can I ask you something?" Regina stiffened slightly. "Depends on what it is." He smiled faintly. "Why'd you stop dating?" She blinked. "Wow. Not easing into that one, are you?" "Sorry," he said gently. "It's just, your parents made it sound like you've been a hermit." Regina sighed, tracing the rim of her mug. "I didn't stop dating. I just never started again." "After us?" Jason asked quietly. Regina nodded. He leaned forward. "Was it because of the breakup?" "No," she said quickly. Then softer. "Maybe. I don't know. It wasn't the breakup itself. It was everything after. I got busy. Then comfortable. Then afraid to disrupt anything." Jason's eyes softened. "You're not the only one who struggled after we split." She looked up. "Really?" "Yeah. I kept comparing every person I met to you." He exhaled. "Not fair to them. Not helpful for me." Regina's heart twisted. "Jason." He held up a hand gently. "I'm not saying this to pressure you. I always wondered if things might have been different if timing didn't suck." Regina laughed weakly. "Timing is always the villain." Jason smiled. "Usually." They sat quietly, the air between them shifting. Less awkward, more open, like a door had been nudged ajar. Finally, Jason spoke again, lighter this time. "So, can I show you something?" "Sure." He pulled a sketch from his messenger bag, architectural lines, sweeping curves, and a proposed central courtyard decorated with ceramic installations. Regina inhaled. "This is beautiful. I was hoping you'd help bring it to life." Her pulse fluttered. "I'd love to." A beat passed. Jason's eyes met hers again. "Regina, can we try being friends again? Just start there." Friends. She could handle that. Probably. Yeah, she said. We can be friends. Jason relaxed, smiling warmly. Good. But even as she said the word, Regina wasn't entirely sure what it meant anymore, or what it would become. All she knew was that seeing him again felt like opening an old sketchbook and discovering unfinished lines she suddenly wanted to complete. When they finally stepped back out into the misty afternoon, Jason offered her his umbrella. You parked far. 3 blocks. Then take it. What about you? Regina asked. I don't melt, he said, smirking. Regina rolled her eyes and took the umbrella anyway. As she walked back to her car, she felt strangely buoyant, as if something dormant had been nudged awake. Maybe this was reckless. Maybe it was hopeful. Maybe it was both. But for the first time in years, Regina wasn't hiding from anything. She was walking straight toward it. Chapter 4: Slip Casting Secrets. Williams' Clayworks smelled like warm earth and lemon cleaner the next afternoon, the comforting perfume of Regina's life. She wiped her hands on her apron as she waited for Jason to arrive for their first official design meeting. Her parents were pretending not to hover, which meant they were hovering with theatrical subtlety. Peeking through the office doorway, whispering far too loudly, rearranging tools that didn't need rearranging. When the doorbell chimed, Regina's pulse hopped. She turned just as Jason stepped inside, a light breeze brushing in with him. He offered a friendly wave. Hope I'm not late. No, you're right on time, Regina said, gesturing him inside. Come on. We set up a space in the back. Her father rushed forward with a handshake that lasted at least 7 seconds longer than socially necessary. Jason, good to see you again. How's the architecture world treating you? Jason chuckled politely. Can't complain. Keeps me busy. Her mother appeared next. Have you eaten? We have muffins. Mom, Regina groaned. What? Offering muffins is hospitality. Jason smiled. I'm okay for now, but thank you. Her mother beamed as if he had just complimented her entire existence. Let's get started, Regina said quickly, steering Jason toward the studio before her parents could adopt him as their second child. They reached the back workroom, a long space with rows of tools, drying shelves, and a central table covered with design sketches and sample glaze tiles. The afternoon sun filtered in, painting soft stripes across the table. This is great, Jason said, setting down his bag. You've really expanded. We've been lucky, Regina replied. And stubborn. Stubborn helps. Jason grinned. Always did. She ignored the flutter that caused. So, she said, laying out the sketches he'd brought the day before. Tell me what you're thinking for the Arts Center. Jason moved beside her, leaning on the table, their shoulders nearly brushed. The project manager wants a unique interior focal point, something tactile that feels connected to the community. I thought maybe a wall installation made from ceramic tiles. Something with movement. Maybe waves. Waves, Regina repeated thoughtfully. Like overlapping forms? Organic shapes. Exactly. Jason's eyes lit with enthusiasm. You always had a great sense of flow in your pieces. Remember that sculpture you made junior year? The one you said was inspired by wind through tall grass. Regina blinked. You remember that? Of course I remember, Jason said simply. Heat crept into her cheeks. She looked down at the sketches, pretending intense concentration. Well, she said, clearing her throat, I have some ideas. We could use slip casting for repeating shapes, then hand-carve details to keep each piece unique. Jason moved closer. Show me. Regina led him to the workbench, pulling out a plaster mold. This is the basic process. Pour liquid clay. Slip into the mold, let it set, pour the excess, then release the shape. Jason leaned in as she worked, clearly fascinated. It looks like magic. Clay is 80% magic, Regina said seriously. The rest is stress. Jason laughed. I've missed this. Watching you work. Regina froze slightly, almost dropping the mold. Jason. Sorry, he said quickly. That came out weird. I just meant, it's nostalgic. In a good way. It's okay, Regina said softly. It didn't sound weird. The moment stretched, warm, delicate, hovering on the edge of something unspoken. So, Regina said, breaking the tension gently, want to try pouring a mold? Jason's eyes widened. Me? No, I will absolutely break something. You won't, Regina assured. Come on. I'll walk you through it. She guided his hands carefully, her fingers lightly brushing his as they angled the pitcher of slip. His touch was familiar, startling, unsettling in a way that made her heart skip. Jason looked up briefly and their eyes met. Something glimmered there. Quiet, old, maybe new again. Okay, he said, voice slightly tight. How's this? Perfect. Regina stepped back, letting him steady himself. They worked side by side for the next hour, sketching possible tile shapes, experimenting with textures, and debating glaze combinations. Jason was surprisingly good at it, observant, patient, willing to learn. At one point, he carefully picked up a narrow tool. What's this? A pokey thing? Regina choked on a laugh. A needle tool. Not a pokey thing. It pokes things, Jason said deadpan. It refines edges. It pokes. Fine. Pokes. But elegantly. By the time afternoon melted toward early evening, they had a rough concept that excited both of them. A sweeping ceramic wall made of undulating shapes in gradient blues and whites, inspired by the coastline where they'd spent countless weekends in college. Jason leaned back, admiring the sketches. This can really work. It can, Regina agreed. And it'll be beautiful. He turned to her, something warm and admiring in his expression. You always bring things to life in ways I can't imagine. Regina's breath hitched. Jason. His phone buzzed loudly on the table, breaking the spell. He glanced at the screen and frowned. Everything okay? Regina asked. Yeah, it's just my project manager wanting updates. He hesitated. I should probably head out soon. Regina nodded, telling herself it was fine. Good even. Space was good. Jason packed up slowly, clearly wanting to say something but unsure what. This was fun, he said at last. Working with you again. Regina smiled despite herself. Yeah, it was. Think we could meet again later this week? Go over the next phase. Regina tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Sure, just text me. Okay. Jason paused at the door. And Regina, I'm glad we're doing this. In every sense. Before she could respond, he stepped outside, the door closing behind him with a soft chime. Regina stood there a long moment, staring at the empty space where he'd been. Her pulse still buzzed in her fingertips. Her heart felt full but fragile. Are you going to pretend that went normally? Or should I get the celebratory muffins? Her mother asked, leaning dramatically against the doorframe. Regina nearly jumped out of her skin. Mom, how long were you standing there? Long enough to know my daughter is in trouble. I'm not in trouble, Regina insisted, even as her voice betrayed her. Her mother arched a brow. Sweetheart, you are halfway to smitten. I am not smitten. Denial is the first step, her mother said serenely. Regina pressed her palms to her face. Mom, please. Her mother walked in, placing a gentle hand on Regina's back. You're allowed to feel things, honey. Even old things that come back unexpectedly. That's the problem, Regina murmured. It's unexpected. Sometimes the best things are. Regina didn't answer. She couldn't. Her thoughts were too tangled, her emotions too loud. But later, when she returned to the work table to clean up, she found something Jason had left behind. A quick sketch of a tile, curved beautifully, with the words, "This feels right," scribbled in his handwriting. Regina traced the edges of the sketch, her heart thudding with something she refused to name. It didn't matter what her mother thought. It didn't matter what her father would assume. It didn't even matter what Mia was almost certainly planning to yell about later. Regina knew one thing with startling clarity. Whatever this was between her and Jason, friendship, collaboration, something more, it was no longer buried in the past. It was forming again, shaping itself, becoming something she might not be able to control. Chapter 5, Kilnside Confessions. The next few days passed in a blur of sketches, clay tests, and long hours at the wheel. Regina kept busy. Too busy, according to her mother, who insisted that staying at the studio past 8 o'clock is a cry for help. Regina ignored that assessment, though she couldn't deny the thought had crossed her own mind once or twice. Because no matter how many pieces she threw or how many glaze samples she mixed, her thoughts kept circling back to Jason. How he leaned in close during their brainstorming. How he remembered details about her college sculptures. How he had asked her, gently, almost hesitantly, why she stopped dating. It was too much all at once, and not enough if she was being honest with herself. On Wednesday afternoon, Regina was hunched over the wheel, shaping a wide ceramic bowl, when the clay began to wobble and fight her touch. She tried to correct it, fingers gently pressing inward, but the clay rebelled, collapsing in on itself like a tiny, spiteful mountain landslide. No! Regina snapped, slamming her foot on the pedal too sharply. The wheel spun faster. The ruined clay slopped violently, splattering her face, sweater, apron, wall, everything. She let out a strangled sound. Perfect. Her father poked his head in from the glaze room. Everything okay? And he, oh, wow. Regina glared at him through a mask of wet clay. Don't. I wasn't going to say anything. You were absolutely going to say something. Her father raised his hands in surrender. I'll get you a towel. He disappeared, and Regina buried her face in her hands, clay and all. What was wrong with her? She never lost control of a piece like that. She hadn't since she was 16. Her father returned with a clean towel. Regina wiped her face, sighing. Before she could gather her dignity, the front door bell jingled. Regina? A warm, too familiar voice called. Perfect. Just perfect. Jason stepped inside the workroom before she could hide. He stopped mid-step, his eyes widening. Oh, should I? Come back later? Regina flung her arms out. Why? Do I not look like someone completely in control of her life? Jason laughed, really laughed, and somehow she wasn't annoyed. You look like an avant-garde sculpture. A very committed one. She shot him a look, but his smile softened into something warm, concerned, tender even. I'm sorry, he said. Rough day. That obvious? He nodded toward the wheel. The bowl didn't make it, huh? It was a stupid bowl, Regina muttered. Too wide, too ambitious, too everything. Jason stepped forward, careful to avoid splatters. Hey, it's just one piece. Regina closed her eyes. It's not the piece. Jason paused. No, no, she whispered. It's everything. The confession crackled into the air, fragile and electric. Jason hesitated only a moment before setting down his bag and moving slowly toward her. Can I help? Or just listen? That did it. Regina sank onto the nearest stool, towel clutched in her hands. I don't know what's happening. I keep messing up things I don't normally mess up. I'm distracted all the time. I'm snappy with my parents. I can't focus. I keep thinking about the Arts Center project and all the work I need to do and… She swallowed hard. And you? Jason's expression shifted gently, the humor fading. Me? Regina nodded without looking at him. I wasn't prepared for you to show up again. I thought I'd moved on. I thought I was fine. And then you walked into the art walk and everything I packed away years ago just spilled out. Jason sat beside her, not too close, not too far. Regina, I don't want to make your life complicated. You're not, she said quickly. He raised a brow. Regina groaned. Okay, fine, you are. But I'm the one complicating it. I don't know how to be around you and act like we're just colleagues or… She waved the towel helplessly. Whatever we are. Jason exhaled, leaning his elbows on his knees. Look, I didn't expect this either. Seeing you again hit me like a freight train. But in a good way. A confusing way, but good. Regina risked a glance at him. His expression was open, earnest, just like she remembered. I don't want to screw things up, she murmured. You're not, he said softly. Really? Silence stretched between them, but it wasn't heavy this time. It was gentle, safe. Finally, Jason spoke again. Regina, can I tell you something? And you don't have to respond. Just hear it. She nodded. I never regret choosing that job after college, he said slowly. It gave me opportunities one needed. But I regretted losing you. Not the relationship ending because we did the best we could. But losing you, the person, the connection. I missed you more than I let myself admit. Regina's breath caught. Jason. He held up a hand lightly, not to stop her but to steady himself. I'm not asking for anything right now. I don't want to rush you into something you're not ready for. I just want to be honest, care about you. I always have. Regina looked at him for a long moment. This was too much, too fast, too raw, and yet, felt like the truth. A truth she'd been avoiding for years. I care about you too, she said quietly. And that's what scares me. Jason's features softened. Then let's not rush. Let's just be in each other's lives and see where it goes. Regina breathed out, like she'd been holding her lungs hostage. I can do that. Jason smiled gently. Good. A sudden knock on the doorframe made both of them jump. Mia stood there, eyes wide, taking in Regina's clay-splattered form, Jason's worried posture, and the charged air between them. Oh, Mia said, blinking. Did I interrupt a moment? Was there a moment? Because it feels like I interrupted a moment. Regina groaned. Mia, please. Mia grinned. No, this is perfect. I came to steal you for an early dinner, but it looks like you're having an important emotional breakthrough. So I'll just… She mimed backing away dramatically. Go hide behind a potted plant. Jason laughed, shaking his head. Hi, Mia. Hi, charming ex-boyfriend. Mia replied cheerfully. Glad to see you're still messing with her nervous system. Mia. What? Someone had to say it. Jason stood, brushing clay dust off his sleeves, even though he hadn't touched anything. I should give you two some time, but… Regina? Text me later. She nodded. I will. As he slipped out, Mia turned to Regina, arms crossed, expression smug. So, emotional meltdown and heartfelt confessions? I miss all the fun. Regina let out a strangled noise and flopped back onto the stool. I hate you. No, you don't, Mia said sweetly. You love me. Also, you're in love with him. Regina threw the towel at her. I am not. Mia caught the towel, smirking. Sure. And I'm not addicted to buying earrings. Regina covered her face. This is a disaster. It's not, Mia said, softening. It's messy, and messy is good. Messy means you're living again. Regina peeked through her fingers. I'm terrified. Mia put a hand on her shoulder. Being terrified means you care, and caring is not a crime. Regina sighed. I just don't want to get hurt. Mia squeezed her shoulder. Then go slow, one step at a time. Regina nodded, feeling the truth of it settle somewhere steady in her chest. Slow. She could do slow. But later, when she closed the studio and finally sat alone with the quiet hum of the kills cooling, she realized something surprising. For the first time in a long time, the fear wasn't running the show. Hope was. Chapter 6, Cracks and Repairs. Regina arrived early to the Thursday project meeting at the Coastal Design and Architecture office. Stomach tight with a mix of nerves and anticipation. She had barely slept the night before, Every time she closed her eyes, her mind replayed the moment in the studio. Jason's earnest expression, her own messy confession, the fragile understanding that passed between them. Now she stood in a glass-walled conference room, carefully arranging her sketches on the long table. Soft morning light spilled across the papers, turning the blue wave designs into something almost alive. She tried to breathe. It didn't help much. The door opened. Jason stepped in, holding a laptop under one arm and a coffee in the other. "Morning." Regina smiled, small, hesitant. "Morning." He set his things down and offered her the coffee. "Hazelnut latte." I remembered. Her heart stuttered. "Thank you." They stood for a beat, neither sure how to navigate the thin line between their professional collaboration and everything else pulsing beneath it. Before either of them could speak again, another door opened, and a tall woman with sharp posture and sharper eyeliner swept inside. "Jason," she said briskly. "Good you're here. And you must be Regina Williams." Regina extended a hand. "Yes, nice to meet you. I'm Dana," the woman said. "Project manager. I've heard good things about your work." Regina smiled politely. "Thank you." Dana's smile was tight, professional, not warm. "Let's get started. We're behind on 3 deadlines already, so I need clear deliverables today." Jason's jaw tightened. "We're not behind. We adjusted the project timeline last week." "That's not what upper management thinks," Dana replied coolly. "So let's see what you've got." Regina felt the tension instantly. It filled the room like humidity. She spread out the tile sketches, careful to explain the variations in texture and flow. After a few minutes, Jason chimed in, describing how the final installation would anchor the interior courtyard. Dana studied the drawings silently for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. "They're lovely," she said, "but too slow. Custom work pushes us past budget and timeline projections." Regina's stomach dropped. "Custom work is the point. It's an art center." "I understand that," Dana said, flipping a page dismissively. "But we also have constraints. We need a design that's visually striking but efficient to produce." Jason straightened. "These are efficient. Not compared to laser-cut composites," Dana countered. "We can mimic ceramic texture if needed." Regina felt heat crawl up her neck. "You want to replace ceramic with imitation?" "We want to stay on schedule," Dana said. "Authenticity is lovely, but the board cares about deliverables." Jason's tone sharpened. "I brought Regina in because her work adds real value, not because we needed a shortcut." Dana gave him a long, measured look. "And I appreciate your passion, but unless we revise these concepts to something scalable, we'll lose board approval." Regina felt the ground shift beneath her. She had walked into this meeting hopeful, maybe even excited. Now she felt dismissed, like her work was an inconvenience rather than an asset. Jason must have sensed her deflating. He stepped closer to the table, his voice firm. "We're not scrapping her work." Dana's eyebrows arched. "We." Jason's expression didn't change, but something inside the room did. A subtle shift of power, tension thickening like wet clay. Regina swallowed. "Maybe we can find a compromise." Both turned to look at her. Regina forced a steady tone. "We could streamline the shapes, use fewer variations, keep the organic look but reduce production time." Dana considered it. "Possibly." Jason frowned. "Regina, you don't have to change your designs just because it's fine," Regina said quickly. Too quickly. Jason's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, in concern. Dana closed her notebook. "Bring revisions by Tuesday. We'll regroup then." She swept out of the room without waiting for further discussion. When the door shut, the silence that followed was heavy and brittle. Jason turned to Regina. "You didn't need to give in." Regina forced a smile. "I didn't give in. I'm compromising." "That's not the same thing." "It is when you're trying to keep a project alive." Jason exhaled hard. "She underestimates what you bring to this." "She doesn't know me," Regina said. "I'm not offended." "You should be." Regina blinked. The intensity in his voice startled her. "She dismissed your work without understanding it," Jason continued. "Without understanding you." "Jason," Regina said quietly, "this is your workplace. I'm not here to fight battles." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I don't want you thinking you're not good enough. Not for this. Not for anything." Her heart lurched at the sincerity in his tone. "I don't think that." "You do," he said softly. "At least a little. I can see it." Regina's throat tightened. "Jason, please don't make this harder." His expression fell. "Harder." She took a shaky breath. "This project. Working together. Everything. It's complicated enough without emotions getting tangled into it." Jason stepped back slightly, stung. "So, what happened in the studio? Was that a mistake?" Regina flinched. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to. You're pulling away." "I'm trying to stay grounded," she said quietly. "We barely started talking again, and now we're working together. And I'm trying to do a good job without feeling everything all at once." Jason's jaw clenched. "So what do you want me to do? Pretend nothing is happening?" No, Regina whispered. I just need space. For a minute. To think. Jason looked down, tension radiating off him. Got it. Jason. No, it's fine. He grabbed his bag. I need to prep for another meeting anyway. He walked toward the door. Regina watched him go, her chest tightening with something sharp and painful. Jason, wait. He hesitated but didn't turn around. I'll send updated notes tonight. Then he left. The door closed with a soft click that felt far louder than it should have. Regina stayed in the empty room for several minutes, staring at the sketches on the table. Everything looked blurry, washed out somehow. She knew she hadn't meant to hurt him, but she also knew she had. A knock startled her. The receptionist peeked in. Sorry. Just checking if you needed anything. Regina forced a smile. No, thank you. I'm heading out. She gathered her things quickly and walked to her car with steps that felt too slow and too fast at the same time. That evening, Regina sat in the studio alone, reworking the designs under the soft glow of hanging bulbs. The familiar weight of clay beneath her palms usually soothed her. Tonight it felt heavier. She heard the front door open, followed by a familiar voice. Regina? Mia stepped inside holding 2 takeout bags. I come bearing dinner, because you forgot to eat. Again. I wasn't hungry, Regina said, not looking up. Lies, Mia replied cheerfully, setting the bags down. Now tell me why you look like someone kicked your favorite mug. Regina sagged. I messed up. With the project? No. With Jason. Mia pulled up a stool. What happened? Regina recounted the meeting, Dana's dismissiveness, the tension, the argument that wasn't quite an argument. When she finished, Mia let out a low whistle. Yikes. That's a lot. You think I overreacted? Regina asked. No, Mia said. I think you reacted like a human being trying not to fall off an emotional cliff. Regina sighed. He thinks I don't want anything to happen between us. Do you? Mia pressed. Regina buried her face in her hands. Yes. No. I don't know. I want to. But I'm scared. Of getting hurt? Of everything. Mia nudged her. Sweetheart, fear is normal. But Jason's not asking you to marry him tomorrow. He's asking you to let him in. Just a little. Regina stared at the half-finished tile in front of her. I shouldn't have pushed him away. Then tell him that. I don't know if he wants to hear it. Then you find out, Mia said firmly. Life is too short to tiptoe around what you want, especially when what you want is standing right in front of you with sad puppy eyes. Regina groaned. He did not have sad puppy eyes. He absolutely did. Regina let out a weak laugh. Maybe a little. More than a little. Regina looked down at her hands, coated in a thin layer of slip. I'll talk to him tomorrow. Mia smiled. Good. But later, after Mia left, Regina sat alone again in the quiet studio, tracing patterns in the soft clay. She wasn't sure how to fix what had cracked between them, but she knew one thing she wanted to. Chapter 7 centered. Saturday arrived bright and unseasonably warm, the kind of day that made the whole town buzz with outdoor events. For Regina, however, the sun only highlighted the knot in her stomach as she carried boxes toward the park pavilion. Today was the annual Coastal Art and Craft Showcase, a busy day for Williams Clayworks, and this year, Regina had agreed to do a live pottery demonstration. Her parents were thrilled. Regina was distinctly less so. Her mind had replayed her conversation or argument with Jason all week. She'd considered texting him a dozen times but always stopped, partly because she was unsure what to say, partly because she feared she'd already done too much damage. The last thing she expected was for him to show up today, but part of her hoped he would. By the time Regina finished setting up the booth, the town was already filling the park. Families with kids holding balloons, couples wandering between stalls, dogs pulling their owners toward food carts. Are you ready, sweetheart? Her father asked, adjusting the banner above the booth. As ready as I'll ever be, Regina said. Her mother squeezed her arm. You'll be wonderful. Before Regina could respond, Mia bounded toward them holding 2 iced lemonades, hair in a high, chaotic bun. I bring drinks and emotional support. Regina grabbed a lemonade gratefully. Bless you. And, Mia added dramatically, I scoped the area. Jason is not here. Yet. Regina nearly choked on her drink. Mia. What? You were thinking it. Her mother pretended to examine a mug very closely. Regina sighed. I need to focus on the demonstration. Can you two please keep an eye on the inventory? Absolutely, her father said. We'll be the best pottery guardians the world has ever seen. Regina shook her head, amused despite everything. At noon, she stepped onto the small raised platform in the center of the booth, where her wheel and tools waited. A small crowd had gathered, locals who knew her, tourists drawn in by curiosity, a few kids sitting on the grass. Hi everyone, Regina began, smoothing her apron. I'm Regina Williams, and today I'll be showing you how to throw a ceramic vase on the wheel. If you have questions during the process, feel free to ask. She sat at the wheel, positioned the clay, and pressed the pedal. The wheel spun, the clay centered. The familiar hum wrapped around her like comfort woven into sound. She breathed deeper. Talking came naturally once her hands were in motion. She explained technique, pressure, water control. The crowd leaned in, some whispering, some recording her with their phones. But then, from the corner of her eye, Regina spotted movement. A familiar figure approaching the booth. Jason. He hesitated at the edge of the crowd, hands in his pockets, watching her work with an expression she couldn't read through the swirl of people. Her breath hitched, just enough to break her concentration. The clay wobbled. She tried to correct it. It wobbled harder. "Oh no," Regina whispered. The crowd leaned forward. The clay buckled, folded, flopped sideways like a disgruntled pancake. And then, with a dramatic thump, the entire lump launched off the wheel and hit Regina square in the shoulder before splattering onto the ground. The crowd gasped. Someone laughed. A child yelled, "Cool." Regina froze, breath shallow. This was her nightmare. Her absolute worst-case scenario nightmare. She closed her eyes for one brief second and heard Jason. "Regina." He'd pushed gently through the crowd, stepping beside her, voice pitched low and careful. "Hey, are you okay?" She opened her eyes. He looked genuinely concerned. Not amused, not embarrassed on her behalf, just worried. Regina exhaled shakily. "That was not my best work." Jason's lips twitched. "I've seen worse." She glared. "Liar." "Okay, fine," he said softly. "That was pretty spectacular." A few people around them chuckled. The tension in the crowd eased. Jason lowered his voice further. "Do you want help starting over?" She blinked at him. "You? Help at the wheel." He raised his hands. "Not touching anything. Promise. Moral support only." Regina hesitated, but the warmth in his eyes steadied her more than she expected. "Yeah," she said. "I'd like that." He stepped back but stayed within arm's reach, anchoring her with his presence. Regina grabbed a fresh lump of clay, repositioned herself, and began again. This time, her hands found their rhythm quicker. Her heartbeat steadied. The clay responded, rising smoothly beneath her palms. The crowd murmured in appreciation as the vase took shape, tall, elegant, fluid. When she lifted her foot and the wheel slowed to a stop, the audience burst into applause. Regina exhaled, wiping her hands on her apron. "Thank you, everyone." Her parents were grinning. Mia was absolutely vibrating with excitement. As the crowd dispersed, Jason stayed where he was, hands slipping out of his pockets. "That was amazing," he said. "You're biased," she replied. "Maybe," he said gently, "but it's still true." Regina glanced away, focusing on her cleanup, but her voice betrayed her. "I wasn't expecting you to come. I wasn't sure I should," he admitted. "But I wanted to." Regina swallowed. "Listen, about the meeting, about everything. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to push you away like that." Jason shook his head. "No, I'm sorry. I came on too strong. I should have given you the space you asked for." "It wasn't you," she said. "It was me freaking out about everything." Jason smiled faintly. "We're really good at misreading each other." "Huh?" "Apparently," she said softly. He stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough that she felt his warmth. "So, where does that leave us?" Regina looked up into his eyes. Somewhere between scared and hopeful. He breathed out, relief softening his shoulders. "Me too." She let out a small, nervous laugh. "Maybe we should try talking more and assuming less." "I'd like that," Jason said. "A lot." Mia suddenly materialized behind Regina like a gremlin. "Yes, communication. We love to see it." "Mia, leave," Regina begged. Mia threw her hands up, retreating with dramatic flair. "Fine, fine. I'll give you space. But also, he absolutely has hard eyes for you." Jason coughed. "Not helping." "Oh, but I am," Mia insisted, then vanished back into the crowd. Regina covered her face with her hands. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be," Jason said. "She's great. Loud, but great." Regina dropped her hands, meeting his eyes again. "Are we okay?" Jason nodded. "Yeah, I think we are." A breeze rustled through the booth, carrying the scent of clay, grass, and food trucks. Regina felt something she hadn't in a long time, centered, grounded, steady. Jason cleared his throat lightly. "So, could we maybe grab dinner sometime?" "No pressure. Just dinner." Regina smiled, a real, full smile. "Yeah, I'd like that." Jason's answering smile was enough to warm the air between them. "Good," he said softly. "Then it's a date." Regina's heart flipped, and for once she didn't try to stop it. Chapter 8: A New Firing. The Monday after the art showcase felt strangely quiet at Williams Clayworks. Sunlight drifted through the large windows, warming shelves of drying mugs and half-glazed bowls. Regina moved slowly through the shop, checking moisture levels on pieces slated for the next kiln batch. Her movements were steady, but her mind kept circling back to the moment Jason asked her to dinner. And the way her heart didn't plummet this time. Her mother breezed in with a small box of new glaze samples. "Honey," the Dawson wedding couple called. "They want to pick up their order on Friday instead of Saturday." "Sure," Regina said. pulling her hair into a loose ponytail. I can finish the detailing tonight. Her mother paused, studying her. You seem lighter today. Regina blinked. Do I? Yes, her mother said warmly. Less weighed down. Before Regina could form a reply, her phone buzzed. Jason, lunch today? Or dinner? I'm not picky. Her stomach fluttered. Yeah, maybe. Her mother smiled knowingly. Tell him yes. Mom. What? I'm just encouraging your social life. Regina slipped the phone into her apron. I'm going to the studio. Her mother let her escape with a grin. Later, with the wheel spinning in front of her, Regina found her rhythm. She shaped a medium vase in smooth, steady passes, letting the repetitive motion ease her thoughts. Working always helped her process feelings. Clay didn't demand answers. It just required presence. So when someone knocked lightly on the studio doorframe, Regina recognized the voice instantly. Hope I'm not interrupting. She looked up. Jason stood there, holding 2 iced coffees and looking far too handsome for someone trying to appear casual. You're early, Regina said, unable to hide her smile. You said maybe, he replied. I took that as a yes. She set her hands on her thighs, wiping off Clay. So what's this? He offered her one of the drinks. Peace offering. I didn't know we were at war. We weren't, Jason said. But I wanted to give you something anyway. Regina accepted the cup, the coldness surprising her warm fingers. Thank you. Jason glanced at the half-formed vase on the wheel. You look calmer today. I feel calmer, she said. The showcase helped. Even the clay explosion. He grinned. That was legendary. She shot him a mock glare. Do not tell anyone. Absolutely telling everyone, he teased. But with love. Their laughter dissolved some invisible tension between them, the kind that had been lingering since the misunderstanding at the architecture office. Jason stepped closer. Can we talk? About Friday? The dinner idea. Yes, Regina said. Please. Jason paused. I didn't want to assume. I know you needed space. I did, she admitted. But I think I used it to sort things out. And I don't want to pull away anymore. Warmth lit his expression. Good. Because I liked where we were headed. Regina felt her pulse quicken. Me too. Jason rubbed the back of his neck, an old nervous habit she remembered too well. So how about dinner tonight? There's a new place near the marina. Great seafood. Nice view. Regina hesitated, but only because it felt big. Real. A choice. Then she nodded. Tonight works. Jason exhaled like he'd been holding that breath for days. Perfect. Before they could say more, a loud crash echoed from the storefront. Regina whipped around. What was that? They rushed out to find her father standing guiltily over a box of shattered mugs. Her father sighed. I tripped on a display stand. I'm too old for this. Jason leaned over. You okay, Mr. Williams? Oh sure, he grumbled. My pride's more bruised than my body. Regina knelt beside the shards. Dad, these were for the Dawson order. Her father winced. I'll remake them. You don't have time. We'll help, Jason said suddenly. Both Regina and her father looked up. Jason shrugged. I'm not skilled, but I'm trainable. I can carry, clean, prep, whatever you need. Regina's father brightened instantly. See? This one's a keeper. Dad. Her father raised his hands innocently. I'm just saying. Jason chuckled. I'll take the compliment. Regina fought a smile and turned back to the broken pieces. Fine. But only if you promise to let me handle the wheel. You can clean. Done. They spent the next hour sweeping ceramic pieces, sorting salvageable shards, and prepping new clay bodies. Jason moved easily through the space, asking Regina questions, taking direction without hesitation, and occasionally bumping elbows with her in a way that felt comfortable. Familiar. Electric. At one point, he brushed a stray bit of clay from her cheek with his thumb, pausing long enough that Regina forgot to breathe. You missed a spot, he murmured. She swallowed hard. Thanks. Their eyes held longer than necessary, long enough that her father loudly cleared his throat. Not in front of the inventory, you two, he teased. Regina practically leapt backward. Dad. Jason's ears turned red. They finished cleanup amid laughter and mild embarrassment. As the afternoon waned, Regina checked the time. I should get cleaned up before dinner. Jason nodded. I'll pick you up at 7? 7 is good, she said. He hesitated at the doorway. Regina. Yeah. His voice softened. I'm glad we're doing this. Her heart warmed. Me too. He left, and Regina leaned against the wall, pressing a hand to her fluttering chest. She was absolutely in trouble. Good trouble. The marina restaurant overlooked the water, lit with warm lanterns and soft music drifting from speakers hidden in potted palms. Regina walked in wearing a navy wrap dress that Mia insisted made her look like a charming protagonist. Whatever that meant, Jason stood to greet her. For a moment, his expression shifted. Stunned, appreciative, gentle. You look. He paused, breath catching. Beautiful. Regina felt her cheeks heat. Thank you. You look good too. He couldn't stop smiling. They ordered drinks, shared appetizers, and talked easily about college memories, design challenges, the unpredictability of firing large ceramic pieces. Jason asked thoughtful questions, listening with the same focus he used to reserve for late-night study sessions and whispered conversations in the dark. Halfway through dinner, he leaned forward. "Can I ask something real?" Regina braced herself. "Sure. When we broke up, did you ever get angry at me?" She blinked. "Angry? For leaving? For choosing the job?" Regina toyed with her fork. "No, never. I was sad, but I understood. I wanted you to go. I would have hated for you to stay and regret it later." Jason's eyes softened. "I regretted being so far from you." Regina looked up slowly. "I didn't know that. I didn't know how to say it back then," he admitted. "I thought distance would make things easier." "Did it?" "No," he said. "Not even a little." Regina felt her chest tighten. "Why didn't you call? Or visit?" "Because I was afraid," Jason confessed. "Afraid that seeing you again would undo me. Afraid that wanting you wasn't fair if I couldn't promise anything long-term. Afraid that I had no right to ask you to wait." Regina exhaled. "Jason." He reached across the table, tentative. "I'm not asking you to wait now. Or to rush into something. I just want to try. If you want to." Regina's heart softened like warm clay. "I do want to. I'm just scared." "I know," Jason said. "Me too." She met his hand halfway, their fingers brushing lightly, soft, tentative, but certain. "Then maybe," she said gently, "we can be scared together." His smile was slow and warm. "I'd like that." They sat like that a while, hands touching, waves lapping softly against the dock outside, lanterns flickering golden shadows across their table. A new start, a new firing, a chance to reshape something that had never truly lost its form. When Jason walked her to her car later, the night was cool and quiet. Regina turned to him, unsure what to expect. Jason brushed his hand down her arm, hesitating. "Can I?" Regina nodded before forgetting how to breathe. He kissed her, softly, gently, like the beginning of something he didn't want to rush. The warmth of it spread through her chest, her pulse humming steady and sure. They parted slowly. Jason whispered, "Good night, Regina." She smiled, heart glowing. "Good night." As she drove home, the world felt different. Not perfect, not certain, but hopeful, open, ready for whatever shape tomorrow would take. Chapter 9, Shaping Us. The week after Regina and Jason's dinner date unfolded with a strange combination of ease and anticipation. Days at Williams Clayworks felt the same. Clay, glaze testing, customers who couldn't decide between matte and gloss. But everything had a new undercurrent now. A warmth, a steadiness she hadn't realized she'd missed. Every evening, Jason would text her. Not in a pressured way. Not in a performative way. Just authentically. "Good luck with the kiln firing today. Just past the waterfront, thinking about our dinner. Hope you're having a good morning. Want to grab coffee after work?" It was slow, gentle, intentional, and Regina felt herself softening into the rhythm of it with surprising ease. By Thursday, Regina's mother noticed. "You're humming," her mother remarked, passing through the kitchen with a tray of bisque-fired mugs. "I am not humming." "You absolutely are," her father chimed in. "And smiling at your phone a lot." Regina glared. "Boundaries exist," her father snorted. "Not in this house." Regina fled to the studio before her parents could say anything else, but even as she centered a large clay cylinder on the wheel, she found herself smiling. Later that afternoon, Jason arrived at the shop carrying a cardboard tube under one arm and wearing a navy button-down that Regina pretended not to notice looked unfairly good on him. "Hey," he said. "Hey," she echoed, wiping her hands on her apron. "Come in." He set the tube on the work table. "I brought the revised layout for the art center. Dana approved the custom tile concept." Regina blinked. "Really?" "Yeah. After we showed her your streamlined version, she actually liked it. She won't admit it, but she did." Regina couldn't help the bright grin spreading across her face. "That's amazing." Jason watched her with unmistakable fondness. "You did that. Not me." "Team effort," she argued. He shook his head. "Your designs convinced her." Regina rolled her eyes, but her cheeks warmed. Jason unfurled a large sheet of paper across the table, a clean architectural rendering of the art center's atrium wall. Regina traced the lines with her eyes, imagining the final result. Organic ceramic waves in cool blue gradients, catching the light in subtle ways. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "It will be," he said. "Because of you." She glanced up sharply, her heart skipping. Jason held her gaze, expression open, grounded. Then a voice rang out behind them. "Well, well, well." It was Mia, who leaned dramatically on the doorway like she'd been waiting her entire life for this moment. "Look at you two, standing close, sharing blueprints, breathing the same air. Scandalous." Jason laughed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Hi, Mia." "Mm-hmm," Mia said, crossing her arms. "So, when's the next date?" Regina groaned. "Mia." "What?" "I'm conducting a survey." "You're meddling." "Yes." Mia pointed at her. Successfully. You're welcome. Jason turned partially toward Regina. We could get dinner again. If you're not too busy. Regina's heart fluttered, but she played it cool. We'll see. Mia scoffed. Oh my god. Just say yes. The tension is killing me. Leave. Regina shouted, hurling a sponge in Mia's direction. Mia ducked and vanished. Jason chuckled as Regina dropped her head into her hands. I'm so sorry. Don't be, he said, his tone warm. She cares about you. She cares loudly. True. But she's rooting for you. Regina peeked at him. Are you rooting too? Jason paused, stepping closer. Yeah, he said quietly. I am. Her breath caught. Before either could say more, the kiln's timer beeped from the next room. Shoot, Regina muttered. Grateful for something to look at that wasn't Jason's eyes. I have to check the firing. I'll come. Together, they walked into the kiln room, heat radiating through the air like a wall. Regina cracked open the small viewing window, squinting against the orange glow inside. Looks good, she said. Cones bending perfectly. Jason stepped behind her. You always look so focused when you do that. Regina turned her head slightly. That's because if I mess up, everything explodes. Jason's brows shot up. Explodes. Well, cracks dramatically, but sometimes also explodes. Jason stepped back. Noted. She laughed, closing the window. But when she turned back toward him, she realized they were much closer than she'd expected, only inches apart. His expression shifted, warm, searching. Regina, he murmured. Her pulse leaped, but before anything could happen, the front doorbell jingled. Too loudly, too intrusively. Jason chuckled under his breath. We really don't get timing on our side, do we? Story of our lives, she said. They walked back to the main shop, where one of their regular customers was looking around. Regina smiled politely and moved to greet her, part of her wishing the interruption had come 5 seconds later. But maybe this was good. Maybe slow was still right. That evening, Regina finally closed up the shop after her parents left and Mia had sent 47 text messages asking for updates. A soft knock on the door startled her. She turned. Jason stood outside, hands in his pockets, framed by the warm glow of the streetlight. Her heart flipped. She unlocked the door and stepped outside. Hey, hey, he said softly. Neither moved at first. Then Jason took a breath, steady and sure. I didn't want the day to end without saying something. Regina inhaled. Okay. I know things are still new, and I know we're trying to go slow. He hesitated. But today, being in the shop with you, working together, it felt right. Like something I didn't know I was missing for a long time. Regina's chest tightened. Not painfully, but with emotion so full it almost ached. It felt right for me too, she said quietly. Jason stepped closer. I don't want to rush you. I don't want to pressure anything. I just want to be here, with you, wherever this leads. Regina felt her breath shake. I want that too. Jason smiled, small, earnest. Good. A long, warm silence settled between them. Then Regina reached out, gently taking his hand. He squeezed back immediately. Walk me to my car? She asked. With pleasure. They walked slowly down the quiet street, fingers laced, night air cool around them. Neither said much. They didn't need to. At her car, Regina turned to him. Jason. Yeah. I'm glad you came back. Jason's eyes softened. I think I was always supposed to. A warmth spread through her chest. He didn't kiss her this time. He just leaned his forehead lightly against hers, a gesture more intimate than anything else could have been. Good night, Regina, he whispered. Good night, she murmured back. He stepped away, letting her go but not really letting go. Not the way he looked at her. Not the way the connection lingered in the air between them. As Regina slid into her car, she didn't feel afraid anymore. Hope wasn't just stirring. It was shaping itself, forming edges, becoming solid, just like clay on the wheel. Something new, something strong, something theirs. Chapter 10 fully fired. The day of the Community Arts Center exhibition dawned bright and crisp, the kind of early summer morning that made the town look like it had been dipped in gold. Regina arrived early. Unlocking the rear entrance with shaking hands, she tried to disguise as excitement. It was more than excitement, though. Today was the reveal of the finished ceramic installation. Today was the culmination of months of work. Today was something new. Her parents and Mia were already there, setting up a small display of Williams Clayworks pieces near the entrance. Mia waved dramatically. The artist has arrived. Everyone pretend to look impressed. Be nice, Regina warned. I'm always nice. Her mother snorted. That's a generous interpretation. Regina approached the display, smoothing a hand over a tray of sample tiles. How's everything looking? Her father stepped back, chin high. Perfect. Ready for your big moment. Regina swallowed. It's not just mine. Her mother's eyes softened. No, she agreed. It's yours and Jason's. Regina's heart skipped. Not in fear, not in confusion, but in a warm, steady beat. As if summoned by the thought, Jason walked through the wide glass doors, dressed in a slate gray shirt and rolled sleeves. He carried a portfolio tucked under one arm and looked, as always, both professional and disarmingly approachable. His eyes found Regina immediately. His smile, small, soft, warm, reached her before he did. "Morning," he said. "Morning," she echoed, feeling her pulse trip. "Ready for the big reveal? Ask me again in an hour," she said. He chuckled. "You're going to be great." Her breath caught slightly, not because of his words, but because of how sincerely he believed them. Visitors began streaming in as the exhibition opened. The mayor gave a short speech about community and creativity. Dana, the project manager, stuck to the back, looking pleased in a quiet corporate way. That was a victory in itself. But the real moment came when the curtains were pulled from the installation. Gasps filled the atrium. The ceramic wave wall curved gracefully along the length of the room, each tile slightly unique yet part of the whole. Soft blues blended into crisp whites, giving the illusion of motion, water frozen in time, held by craftsmanship and intention. Sunlight from the skylight above danced across the glazed surfaces, reflecting small flecks of turquoise. The tiles captured the ocean's calm and its energy all at once. Regina stood still, hardly breathing. This was hers. Hers and Jason's. But it was hers. Jason stepped beside her. "You okay?" Yeah," Regina whispered. "I think so." He watched the piece with quiet admiration. "It's beautiful. You should be proud." Regina blinked rapidly. "I am. And thank you for pushing for this, for believing in it. And in you," Jason said softly. Before she could respond, a group of local artists approached, asking Regina dozens of questions about glaze firing, slip consistency, tile weight, anchoring methods. Regina answered every one, confidence growing with each word. Her parents watched from a distance, beaming. Mia mouthed a very subtle "I told you so." After the crowd drifted away, Jason pulled her aside toward a quieter corner of the atrium. "Come with me," he said. She followed him to a small bench overlooking the installation. Despite the hum of the crowd, it felt like they were alone. Jason took a slow breath. "I got an offer." Regina's heart dipped. "An offer? For a permanent position," he continued. "Here, with the firm." Her mouth went dry. You're staying." "If I take it," he said. "But I didn't want to accept without talking to you first." Regina stared at him. "Why?" "Because," Jason said gently, "it affects us, and I don't want to make decisions about the future without considering you in them." Her chest tightened. "Jason, I'm not asking for anything huge right now," he said quickly. "I'm not asking you to commit to anything you're not ready for. But I want to stay, not just for the job. For you." Emotion swelled in her eyes. "Are you sure?" He reached out, brushing a thumb lightly across her knuckles. "I've never been more sure." Regina looked up at him, sunlight catching in her hair, the installation glowing behind them like proof of what they could build together. "I want you to stay," she said softly. "Not because I need you to, but because I want a chance to see where this goes." Jason's breath released, relief warming his expression. "Then I will." A smile slowly bloomed across her face. "Good." He hesitated only a second before leaning in. "Regina, can I kiss you?" She nodded. His lips met hers in a kiss that was gentle and steady, like centering clay on the wheel. It wasn't rushed or frantic. It just was, warm and real and new. When they broke apart, neither spoke for a moment. Then Regina laughed softly. "You know, this is the first time we've kissed without bad timing getting involved." Jason grinned. "Maybe our timing finally figured itself out." They turned back toward the wave wall, shared work, shared effort, shared meaning. "Think we make a good team?" he asked. Regina leaned her shoulder against his. "Yeah, I really do." Her mother's voice suddenly rang out from across the atrium. "Jason, family photo." Jason groaned. "Do I count as family now?" "You're dating her," her father called out. "Close enough." Regina hid her face in her hands. "I regret everything." "No you don't," Mia shouted. "You love it." Jason laughed. "We should probably go before they start chanting." They wouldn't. Her parents began chanting, "Family, family." Regina sighed. "I stand corrected." Jason stood, offering her his hand. "Shall we?" She took it easily, naturally, without hesitation. Hand in hand, they walked toward the people who had rooted for her, nudged her, supported her, and sometimes meddled relentlessly. Toward a future she wasn't afraid of anymore. Toward possibility. Toward warmth. Toward a life no longer shaped by fear, but by hope. As they posed for a picture in front of the wave installation, her parents beaming, Mia throwing up double thumbs, Jason's hands steady around hers, Regina thought, this isn't an ending, it's a beginning, fully fired, fully ready, fully hers.